Henry V. Gray Powell plays both King Henry V and a First World War soldier in the Shaw Festival's production of Shakespeare's Henry V, David Cooper, Shaw Festival, by William Shakespeare, directed by Kevin Bennett and Tim Carroll. Until October 28 in the Jackie Maxwell Studio Theatre, 10 Queens Parade, Niagara-on-the-Lake. Shawfest.com or 1-800-511-7429. This is the first Shakespeare play the Shaw Festival has produced since its founding in 1962. The impetus to tackle the bard comes from artistic director Tim Carroll, best known for his original practices. Shakespeare productions, that is, staging the plays as they would have been staged in the Elizabethan era. In this case and differently, he's giving us Shakespeare through the lens of Shaw. The production is set in the context of and as a critical comment on the First World War, which GBS famously opposed. Carroll co-directs with Kevin Bennett, who helmed a divisive production of the contemporary play The Madness of George III at Shaw last season. Article continued. Bella, what they've created has the emerging hallmarks of Carroll's work at Shaw, a high-concept, game-like structure that, while intended to open up the audience-performer relationship, Carroll calls it two-way theater, comes across as brainy, intriguing and emotionally remote. Henry V is about patriotism and leadership. The rebellious Prince Hal of the Henry IV plays is now the titular monarch, rallying the English troops to take on the French at the Battle of Agincourt once more. Unto the breach, dear friends, once more. Particularly post-Second World War, the play has been framed as a meditation on the ambiguities of war and sometimes as an overtly anti-war piece. In it, Henry is tested by internal rebellion, intrigue involving denizens of his former tavern haunts and the use of romance, with the French Princess Catherine, as diplomacy. Bennett's and Carroll's production places us in a dugout with a group of Canadian soldiers during the First World War. They're reclining on billets, covered in dirt, checking their weapons and alert for the next call to battle. Costumes and sets are by Camelia Koo. A few soldiers hold copies of Henry V and they start acting out the play, rehearsing it for some kind of public showing. There's historical precedent for this. Plays were sometimes performed by troops in the Grey War, including a staged reading of Shaw's own O'Flaherty VC, also currently being staged at the festival, one of a number of pleasing resonances with other of the season's First World War set productions, including Oh What a Lovely War and The Magician's Nephew. Within the dugout, not everyone's on board. The satyr, played by Rick Reed, says he's not in the mood to play a certain character, and poof, the production skips over the play's entire first scene and jumps to the insult of the French Dauphin, Damien Atkins, sending Henry Gray Powell a crate of tennis balls, here represented by a box of hand grenades. By this point it's clear, those looking for a straightforward delivery of Shakespeare's play will likely find this production frustrating. What the performance delivers instead is the experience of watching the actors navigate a complex psychological and professional challenge, namely, playing soldiers impersonating various characters while never quite committing to characterization because the soldiers' immediate reality is so intense and because the soldiers would not themselves be skilled actors. That's the game, into which I felt drawn intellectually while kept at a distance emotionally. The first act, which gallops through 3.5 of the play's 5 acts, is played in dim, atmospheric light, designed by Kevin Lamotte, with the performers constantly doing bits of soldierly business, cleaning guns, reading letters, playing cards, so that a lot of their energy is directed inward. Those sitting on the short ends of the rectangular playing area will find themselves looking at a lot of backs. At points, when characters are talking about Henry and he's not in the scene, the actors deliver the lines playfully at Powell, who responds with a gesture or a facial expression in his soldier persona. Article continued. Bella, as the whole play is kept at a consistent ironic remove, the setting predetermining a fixed perspective on the content. War's hell, alright. I found myself impressed by the 7 actors' capacity to be alive to the complexity of the situation. Particular standouts are Patrick Galligan as the Welsh soldier Llewellyn and Graham Somerville moving elegantly between several roles including the swagger epistle. Christopher Bowman and Cameron Grant complete the male cast. The second act moves to a hospital facility with 4 female actors, Julia Corse, Claire Julian, Yana McIntosh, Natasha Mumba, playing nurses and joining into the pre-existing terms of engagement, voicing roles while at the same time changing bandages, dishing washing up soup and so forth. The play has now become an instrument to help the soldiers through the trauma of battle and injury. The energy sags in the long fourth act, as Henry wanders incognito amongst his troops before the Agincourt battle, for me in large part because the directorial conceit had fully presented itself and reached its limits. So much energy goes into the moves between the soldier, nurse and Shakespearean roles that broader commentary on the relationship with the hospital setting to the content of the play is more implied than explored. Nor is much made of these being Canadians. The women too have North American accents, delivering this play in the context of this war, or, if there is exploration of this circulating amongst the company, it did not make its way to this audience member. My takeaway questions about this production are more about the Chef Festival's leader than Shakespeare's. What's the continued incentive for audiences to go on to the breach of Carol's performance games, when what they deliver is more detachment than engagement? Read more. Oh, what a lovely war's ambitions pay off in dramatic fashion. Chef Festival's O'Flaherty VC goes short and silly on a long and serious war. Chef Festival builds a magical imaginary world in The Magician's Nephew.